Hey everybody, welcome back to Docwood Theory. My name is Docwood, and we have a special guest, my friend David McIntyre. How you doing
How you
today?
guys doing? Great, man. Glad to be here.
So, Dave, do me a favor, just introduce yourself and kind of tell everybody about yourself and what you do, how long have you done it for, what you don't like to do, usual things.
I'm a father first. Got my daughter. She's about to be 11. Started junior high school, so that's kind of interesting. We're getting,
Super all-star
we're
everything.
We're getting kind of like old in that sense.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it is. It's kind of weird that my baby is going to junior high. You know what I mean? And trying to get her in a private school, all that good stuff.
It's a process,
Your
man.
boy goes to private school, so.
Through a program.
Yeah. But, I got my angel, D3, passed in 2020 to leukemia warrior. So that's a weird part of being a parent, I guess, something you never think about.
I don't think most parents, they try to avoid thinking about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things you never think about when you become a parent, but, it does happen. As far as like career-wise, I am a supervisor at a company that I won't mention. It's not really important. I don't plan on being there long. It's just kind of...
It's not mentionable.
Yeah, it's
not
one
notable.
of those things. It's a pretty shitty company.
It's like a stepping stone.
But, it kind of pays the bills, I guess you could say.
In the simplest way.
I've got my sales job as well, where I help people get solar systems. It's pretty cool gig.
Now, have you always been a person who's done multiple things?
Yeah, I mean, if you know me, I keep my hands stirring, man. I've done a little bit of everything. I'm actually, I cut hair so as well, so
right.
That's like something I'm going to school for now to get my license and step into the entrepreneurship field,
Yeah, absolutely.
Eventually get
have
my
your own
shop.
shop.
This is more of a passion than anything, but it's also one of those passions that you can make good money doing. So
Well, it's depending on the person. So I think
Right.
you have an ability and a characteristic that's necessary for that. A lot of people don't have it. You can go to a barber or somebody that cuts your hair and you don't have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
You're actually the only person that cuts my hair.
Yeah,
Otherwise, they're like, I don't know.
honestly, that's kind of like my clientele. Like I have like a niche clientele that
Very.
a lot of them I've built relationships with. And
It's like-
it's kind of like a calling, and I feel like it's a gift. You know what I mean? It's something that it's a gift that as soon as I picked it up, I kind of was always good at it, and so I just feel like if God gives you a gift like that, it's something that you have to pursue in some way. Not to say that it's my end all be all, but it's just something that I wanna accomplish. So.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I mean, and you do have a talent for it. So anybody that's gotten a haircut from you know, I used him as a way of stepping into a new career, like in a field, and because of that, I presented myself in a way that I didn't have the education or really the ability at the time, but I looked like I did.
Yeah.
And they gave me the fucking job.
I know
man.
you. I know how you talk, and you definitely played that out, and you killed it. You know,
Oh, yeah, I
you
got that
turned it
job.
into something like you turned up with that. Like
That's crazy.
It is wild. And that's a gift. You know what I mean? Like, I think
Changes people's lives, man.
I think
Confidence is a huge thing.
it is, dude, and that's the best part. That's the best part of it, of cutting hair. For me, it's not really. I know I can make a lot of money doing it, and there's other avenues that I can get into to continue to pursue building wealth. You know what I mean, for my family through
Right.
that. But at the same time, it's just more of like it's one of those things that like. It keeps me, like, it's part of me. You know what I mean? I've been doing it for so long, and like that, like what you just talked about, like that means more than the money that I get from it a lot of times. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of times that I got to touch people's lives through, you know what I mean, cutting hair. You know,
providing that service.
Yeah,
right?
through providing that service.
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So.
Well, that's how you know it's God given, right? It's like the fact that it literally touches people.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what's got me like in the mode to pursue that. But other than that, beyond those things, man, I'm like an outdoors guy. I like to work out.
I think that's an understatement in terms of you're the first and foremost. He's an outdoorsman.
Fishing for sure. I want to get more into the whole outdoorsman, like the bushcraft, the survival aspect of it. Being able to go out there for like a week and be like, okay, I got my tools, I'm good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, live out there. I want to do it so bad. I want to live out there forever though. So that's my goal.
I feel you 100%.
All the time.
I feel you 100%, but
I can't get past that anymore. It's on my mind all the time. Like I just want to get out of society. I just want to go live in the woods, away from other human beings. And I love people, but I really don't.
Yeah, I'm like 60-40, or 50-50, 60-40 on that. Like I have my days definitely where I'm just like, man, fuck this. Like I could definitely, I could definitely just go pitch a tent right now and get away from all this. Like, but at the same time, obviously, we got responsibilities. We got
the social responsibilities. Right. Now what? There's the thing that kind of bothers me though about that is that there's no alternative way of living, right? Ooh. So like there's realistically say I didn't want to live this way and I did want to take my family and go live nomadically like people used to. You can't really do that anymore. No, and that bothers me because the government's so involved. Oh yeah, they're coming.
Would be after you. They're like, oh, your kid doesn't go to our school system where we don't teach them really anything they need to know. So yeah, we're gonna take them from you.
He's not absorbing our propaganda, so we need to make sure that your kid comes with us.
Right, yeah, like he's man, don't get me started on that, but yeah, so it's wild, dude. It really is. I think that is kind of a cool part of like what I do with the solar stuff is because it does kind of help create that independence in a way. Like obviously it doesn't take you completely off the grid. That's illegal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what's crazy, right?
Statewide, yeah, right. But it does.
You're offering a freedom.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of does offer you that freedom of ownership and you know what I mean, and kind of in a sense fighting the system because
they force you to put that stuff on your house. Like you have to put a box on your house,
right?
And you have to have a meter.
If you take it off, it's an unlivable. It's an unlivable place.
Yeah, you can't live there. Yeah, it's not. You can't. It's not be habitated. It's not worth it. Apparently,
you're not
just
depending
garbage.
on us.
Right?
But
you either attach yourself to this nipple or you get the fuck out. Like that's what and by get the fuck out they mean jail and you don't have your kids.
Or worse, right?
Oh yeah, it's always Jesus, dude. Did you see that the ATF right now is under serious fire because they raided it was this dude, he was some higher up at the airport and he sold a couple guns or something. He was like a gun collector, right?
Okay, side hustle type of
well, not even a side hustle. So I guess he was just a gun collector and he just started collecting guns months prior.
All right.
So they stormed his house, and he thought that they were breaking in.
Because he was buying up a bunch of guns. He got a good job to start buying up some guns like shit he liked.
Dude, they fucking killed him.
What?
They killed him on a raid, right? Shot him in his head, right, inches away from his wife. Because he thought that somebody was breaking in the house.
I'm not laughing at that, obviously.
But how crazy is it that can happen?
Yeah,
how stupid the system is, and people want to give more authority away to the government.
Yo, Zach, we are living in a time. This shit blows my mind, bro. We are living in a time where people are fighting and fighting to give away their rights, bro. You know what I mean?
Isn't that the craziest part? But for the luxury of convenience.
Or their safety or their
that's
security,
pretend.
Or whatever. For these ideas that they have and they feel so passionately about. But at the same time, the people die for you to have these rights, my guy. People literally fought
generations
and died. Yes, bro.
Generations.
Fought and died
Generations,
for years for you to have these rights, my guy.
And some people don't even have them all yet.
Man, come on. Come on, man.
And they're giving them away before you even get them.
And so, like...
Wow, that's scary. You ever think about that? There are people out here right now that don't have...
It's Juneteenth, by the way.
Yeah?
It's Juneteenth, by the way. Shout out. Shout out them Buffalo soldiers. Shout out them Union soldiers. You know what I mean? But...
York. Did you ever... did you just read that about the fucking... who are the people that navigated through the Americas, or they said they did, but Lewis and Clark.
Lewis and Clark. Yeah.
So the dude that was like, he was actually, well, he was a slave, right. But he basically saved their life.
I've heard, yeah.
Yeah.
So you hear about Sacagawea and the Indians that helped them navigate, but I just recently read something about this, maybe like a month or two ago, that there was like a Morris black dude or some shit, or it was a free black man that was living here in America.
He wasn't. So he was owned by Lewis and Clark, or one of them, right?
Okay, well, he was a Moor.
Dude, yeah, he saved their life multiple times. Was responsible for their navigation. Was able to he was the reason that they could communicate with tribes, and was he was basically the reason they made it, dog. And then at the end of it, he was like, "Hey, I did this trip for you.
Can I be free?
Can I be free?" He said no. He goes, "All right, dude, cool. Understand that. Right, I get it. Can you at least put me on the same area so I can be with my wife?" He says,
wow.
"No, let me sell you to somebody else." This dude, I swear to God, literally responsible for these people who are glorified.
Bro. You know how much money I can get for you right now?
I just think that's
wild.
People
wild.
can pretend like that's out of
you
society.
You can speak different languages and shit. Yeah, right.
Dude. Yeah, I think he was even fluent in French too, and he was just
a lot of slaves were, because a lot of people came in through Louisiana and all that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, and then I mean, too, bro, society had existed for way longer than what they're gonna teach you in the book. You know
I think that's guaranteed.
So
let's
talk about it. You know what I mean? Africa was a trade capital, right? So you got, of course, people were speaking different languages, right? They've been trading with different people for hundreds and thousands of years. You know what I mean? So.
How can you have on record? Do you have the richest man in the history of the world?
Massive
right, on a continent, and then also in that same statement make a thing they've also never obtained the same authority. So you just said this man was the richest person in the history of us, ever.
Right.
But he's not attached to anything that's serious. No big accomplishments.
I mean, yeah, but
dude, he just gathered a lot of gold.
I mean,
are you serious?
I'm kind of just surprised that they'll even acknowledge the fact that he was that rich. You know what I mean? But at the same time, too,
I wouldn't be so sure that they do. They'd probably break it down it was a bunch of actual other kingdoms.
Right, because and in reality, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of stuff in Africa can't be really measured officially and stuff. You know what I mean? Because it hasn't been under European records or American records or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Perfect example, man. I had a friend from I want to say Nigeria, right?
Okay.
But he had lived in the village and in the cities, right? He told me about all the different stuff, and basically he was saying how really the village is better because you don't have that control of the city and having to pay all that stuff. Basically if you're hungry, you can
go get
there's an apple tree right there and a banana tree right there. You know what I mean? You can you'll never starve, right? And everybody has their different things that they do or whatever. But
I have a question about that too. About when do you think that mindset and perspective changed from that being paradise to now what we perceive as paradise? You know what I'm saying? Because the way you even describe that immediately is I'm
gonna come right back.
Yeah, I didn't want.
So I'm gonna let me before I lose it. Let me finish where I was going with that. I was just saying, with the records and stuff. He's telling me there's people that live in this village to be 150 years old and 180 years old.
It's nothing.
Yeah, all the time, right? But it's not an official record, right? Because it's they don't have birth certificates and stuff, right? But he was showing me his grandpa's obituary, and I think he was 100 and 70 or 180 or something like that. He's like, man, that's young for my village. And I'm like, what? He's
it's like the Hansa tribe, dude.
He's like, dude, there's a woman walking around my village that's well over 200 years old.
I believe, dude.
You
See,
know what
this,
I mean?
I believe it. I believe it.
He's like, she literally was praying to God every day that like he'd just take her life. Like she's lived multiple lives. You know, like he's like, she literally walks around at about like a 90-degree angle. You know what I mean? And she just prays every day, like, God, take my life. Like I've lived so long. You know what I mean?
I believe it, man. There's so many things that we don't understand in the world like that, and they deny it, and they cover it up. I mean, wild. I think they do, for sure.
It's wild. It's wild. But hold on, so let's get back to this. Yeah. What were you saying about paradise?
So, well, when you were explaining that, and you said that your friend, he compared the two, basically, and contrasted them, and then he explained that the village actually was,
in a sense, was better, right?
Was better because of the freedoms you had, and when you had the know-how,
the community,
right, and the community and the camaraderie. It's like, we right now, I know that we have these history books, and I'm just kind of like theorizing here, but like, it really could have been a lot closer in history when that perspective changed and when it was forced change, like, because we know industrialization and like life started really being different here in America, I guess, but we didn't actually see that time, and neither did our parents, and actually most of the time neither did our grandparents, unless you're actually like, I have a grandparent that was 80 something years old. He did live during the Depression, but prior to that time he didn't live prior to industrialization.
Right.
I have no testament to that, yet they're telling me and declaring that this is history, and how easy in just 3 generations they can change
100%.
So tell me how I guess my question is like, not only when do you think that actually changed, because I don't think that it was actually as far back as people believe, because of the difficulty that they had in technology reaching people. Like, we still have tribes in the world.
I can't necessarily answer that, but what I will say is that we lost something, right? We lost that connection to like true history, right?
Yes,
right, like
for sure, because we can't answer these questions.
Because and a lot of it, you know, I'm not gonna get too deep on you, but a lot of it is like the breakdown of the family, right? Because like, because like we're not hanging out with grandpa or great grandpa no more. If you even have the blessing for them to be around, you know what I mean?
Or even know,
lifetime, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But.
Yeah, the compound thing's dead. So
right,
the nuclear family's dead.
The whole village is broke down, right?
That's crazy.
You see what I'm saying? So
we went from compound, right, and then to the 50s went to the nuclear family, right, and now that
and that's completely
that's
not
gone.
Even come on, man, that's not even a thing, right? There's no structure. There's no structure to it, right? So I mean that's gone.
Well, look how it's viewed right now socially.
That's part of it.
And that's what I'm saying, right? Like, why did that change? What changed about it?
But I think you brought up such a valid point, because that's something that's so important, bro. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, and I realized that, man, when my great-great-grandma was getting old, you know what I mean? And, like, those last couple years of her life, I mean, thank God I had the ability to just kind of like have those times, like every time. Well, she was living with my grandparents, right? So we got that village type feel, you know what I mean? And then like when they would go out of town and stuff, I'd go over there, take care of her for a couple of days, whatever, make sure she eats, stuff like that, you know. So I had that time to kind of just like sit with her and talk, you know what I mean? Hear about like the Great Depression,
to absorb the information
and things like that firsthand, right? And that's so important, bro, because we lose that and we lose ourselves, bro.
You know what I think?
You need to know where you come from,
dude. I think what happens, yeah, absolutely, because I think you just had me fall on an idea here, that there is a confirmation that happens. We have this genetic memory that exists in us, that we know exists in us, right? Like, we have these feelings and these instincts and these things, and then when we get to touch our history with individuals who are from that genetic dynasty, they confirm something and they validate something in us. So that you never even know. That you didn't even know.
You never even knew about yourself. And this wild. And I love that you said it, because, like I said, the importance of like knowing like where you come from, right? Because especially, and kind of doubling back on kind of what we were talking about earlier, especially here in America as Black people.
They were deprived
That's why we have to be strong as a family, because you need to know where you come from. You need to know the stories of your people. You need to know whether it's good or bad, so you can act appropriately. You know what I mean? And
you confirm those things,
and also you can confirm those things within yourself, because like you and I both already know, this knowledge and the of this we both know DNA holds a lot more than just your makeup, right? It holds knowledge. It holds it's deep, right? Yep. So
it's timeless.
You need to know those things, like you said, because some of those things are already in you, and you might be moving a certain way, trying to confirm those things or searching for answers to things that are within you, but you can confirm them through the people that you came
that
from,
connections
right?
in those exactly
right, because
the lineage
right, but
I think that's the only way you
got so far away from that, Zach.
Oh yeah,
we got so far away from that. It might even
that
sound
makes you
crazy
think that
to
it's
some
on
people,
purpose.
Right?
Because we're so far away from it, like there's no way it's not on purpose.
Come on, man.
Well, I know it's on purpose, but my thing is like, when we talk about the groups, or why would somebody do this, or why would this happen? And
because there's power.
Because there's power in that. Absolutely.
Right? So let's circle back. Like I was saying, like as black people in this country, right? We need that because, perfect example. Me talking to my great grandmother. She in this as a black American, what they tell you, what you're taught is you were a slave. Your people were slaves. They were brought here on a boat.
A depletion of authority.
They were brought here on a boat. They were slaves for some 100 years. We freed y'all, and
lifetimes
you came
of submission.
from that. Right.
Yep.
But it might not even be true for you. You know what I mean? But if you don't have any history of where you come from, directly from your people, the source, then you just lost out here.
And you're taking their word for it.
Come on, you taking somebody's word who's already been lying to you.
Yeah, and continuous confirmed, and you know that they're gonna lie. They're always gonna lie.
Come on.
They're always gonna lie. It's always gonna happen.
Right. So,
it's true.
Like my grandmother, my great grandmother.
So why put so much trust in it?
We actually end up getting a DNA test on her. Anyway, like when in her old age, because we were interested in figuring out where we from. But what she told me was, that her people had came here on a boat from Morocco, right? Which we later confirmed that she had some Moroccan, but also Eritrean, which is the small country inside of Ethiopia.
Okay.
Eritrean, everybody says it different. But it's a small country inside of Ethiopia. But it's one of the most ancient cultures and civilization. I mean, Eritrean and Ethiopians, they're very ancient.
Ethiopians have the oldest and most complete book, the Bible.
It's something to be proud of. Right?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like
they say the art's there. You know that.
Or you could just think you're a slave, right? You know what I mean?
Well, which one empowers you and which one doesn't?
Right. I mean, and really, neither. It's really you. Either way, you could empower yourself.
That's
right?
true.
But at the same time,
but one has a design.
Exactly. Which one kind of starts you? Which one kind of starts you in a worse place? Right. You know
on
what
purpose.
I mean? In a worse mindset.
And even if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But the hopes are that it will.
Right.
And that's by design.
So
it's like saying which one's better.
Power, right?
Yeah.
Knowledge is power,
absolutely.
Right? Ignorance is bliss. Right?
Ignorance is bliss.
Which
Which also, I think, is another saying perpetuated by people who intend to control you. So I think that we have these, again, one of these weird conspiracies that I might have, is that we have these metaphors and understandings about society and, perspectives, preconditioned perspectives, and, sayings like that, like we just said, the grass is green around the other side. We have these things that are perpetuated by a society that we internally reject, but we all, strive to be part of, right? And I just find it so funny that we're in this residual pattern and this cycle of knowing that we're in this thing that we don't want to be part of, but we have to be part of it, because if we're not, we get penalized for it, and if you get penalized for it, then you get ostracized from it. And if you're ostracized,
and to really think about this whole society as we know it has changed so much, and let's just say 600 years, right? Let's say 1,000 years. That's really let's get real with it. So 1,000 years, right? We're going back to 1024 AD, right?
Yep. Okay.
Think about how much society has changed, my guy.
Doesn't that see?
We're talking like almost primitive, from primitive to like now we've got
So
technology, solar systems,
an understanding.
Flying. They're designing flying cars. They got electric cars. We got all this different stuff. And just honestly, social media. Look at social media. We're taking the information at
an exponential rate.
I would say exponentially faster, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's true.
Our
capacity is different.
Put it this way: 1,000 years ago, people weren't even reading, for real. I mean, there was tablets, there was stuff that was written, but
you had to know Latin, how to read
language,
the right.
You had to know how to read.
That's when priests had the real
Only
power.
Only a small percentage of people that spoke that language could even read that language.
Even
you see what I'm saying?
Dude, even in the 500 years of so really when we talk about time of year one, right? After Jesus died, right? When we talk about in terms of reference, even that stuff wasn't even recorded for 200 years. So it's I just...
So, and it was really... So basically what I'm getting at is you only really knew what somebody taught you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But we've gotten
different
so
now?
far away from that, right? And not to say that that's right? Because obviously there's a benefit in having other information.
But there was still a connection, though, to your lineage, the truth of your lineage.
So that's how far away we've gotten from that, right? We've got people that know, they can tell you all this shit about random stuff they've seen, but they don't know anything about their history, their actual history, or
and true connection. Because realistically, that's actually the easiest way to happiness.
How many men can tell you about all kinds of stuff, but they don't know the ways of the land, right? They don't know the constitutional laws. They don't know their rights. They don't know how to travel without a map or with a map, without their phone.
Can't navigate. Can't use a compass. Couldn't really survive.
Yeah,
really.
right. Like basic stuff. You know what I mean? We're not. That's not even really survival, right? We're talking about navigation. You couldn't even get where you got to go.
Can't even figure out logistics.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you don't know what those numbers mean on the highway when you see them. You know what I mean? So.
Oh shit! Yeah, we used to read stars.
Right. So we went from there. So
and they think we're smarter,
it's
Dave.
Just this little box that you got, this little device in your pocket, right? And you're like, that does everything for you.
Yeah, right? But you're smarter. We're smarter. But we can't read the stars anymore.
Right. You can't read a compass.
I can't read a compass. I personally can. Can you?
No.
Really?
No. And that's something I want to learn.
So
I have an idea of how it works, but I can't just confidently say, "Yo, put me in the middle of the woods with a compass, and I'm finna come out of here." You know what I mean?
I think you could.
I understand how the magnetics work. I understand all that.
So it always puts.
But this is the thing. I don't need a compass if I can wake up in the morning and see that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and I can determine my direction at some point. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but. That's not here nor there, right? You know what I mean? It's just...
see, you do have a basic understanding of survival.
Yeah, I got an understanding of life.
And geography and astronomy. So I wouldn't say that you're not the average person. So we can't use you as an example of being this... Because I do think that we could actually probably drop you off the compass.
And I know some other things about nature that would also help me navigate.
Because a compass isn't hard. And once I can tell you the one rule about a compass. And once you realize that it always points in one direction... That whatever direction you're going, whatever direction you're going in, and it's pointing in that, it tells you where you're going. So if you know that north is always here, then you know where everything else is.
Right.
So
exactly. That's the simple basics of it.
So now you know how to. So I promise now, if I dropped you off, not say I dropped you off at the park, Swan Creek, and I go here's a compass south. That's how you get back to the street. You would for sure.
Right.
You could do it.
Honestly, if you dropped me off in Oakland, I could determine where I was without a compass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just off landmarks.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And just...
And the thing about... the thing about moss? Where it grows?
Yeah. There's quite a few ways, man. And then... find a river.
I just want to make sure we don't lose it, man.
You know what I mean?
I just want to make sure we don't lose it.
Yeah,
I just get scared that we're losing that part.
But, bro, it's a lot of it is our parenting, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
And I love it. I love it because I feel like I look at the kids of today and in certain ways they are so much more like amazing than we are in certain ways, and like more intelligent. I agree. Like,
I'm so happy that you went with that direction though, because I know that there is a contrast to that.
Yeah.
But there's also like, I do see a major hope in these generations.
Absolutely.
Like they don't dislike. They literally like, if you go to any one of my kids and be like, don't like this person for this reason, they're gonna be like, that just doesn't.
They're gonna look at you like, what?
You're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. And I think they're beyond that, and then I think too, like we kind of talked about, the amount of information they can take in is incredible, right? So it's like, man, they know a lot.
They know if you're a credible source before you even talk.
Stuff, you know what I mean?
Which is dangerous for the government.
Yeah, it can be dangerous for them too, right? But
it is. Yeah, it's true. But consequences of knowing.
Yeah.
See, that's the world we live in, where we have to say things like, well, there's also a consequence for knowing something.
Yeah, man.
You know, where the Snowdens get persecuted and get forced to live in Russia. And then, because the American government forced him to go there, now they call him a communist who went to Russia. It's like, how fucking backwards is that, dude?
Man, come on. I look at these kids, man, I'm like, they have unlimited potential, bro.
Oh, my God.
It's amazing.
It's crazy what happens when you don't force it down.
You know, and then, but also too, you know, like there's certain things I've been noticing more recently, like
in regards to the kids.
My kids getting older, my niece and nephews are getting older. You know, some of the children that I'm around, I'm just like, man, you know, some of the things that we hated as kids, and we thought our parents were like pieces of shit, like like making kids speak to people and stuff like, and in social media and all this shit will tell you, oh, these kids should have all the freedom in the world. And all. These are things that actually are going to help them in the world, right? Like respect, making them speak to their elders, watching the way that they speak to their elders.
Yep.
And I'm not saying everybody. If you got some fucking weirdo crackhead uncle who's a fucking pedophile or some shit, yeah, your kid doesn't need to fucking respect. Don't have them around them. You know what I mean?
Right. Do the parenting.
But bring them around respectable elders and make sure that they know, like, respect is a thing.
It's etiquette.
You speak to these people, you answer them in a certain way. You know what I mean? Like, certain things that we have gotten away from. Even just like simple things is like making your kids eat what you cook for dinner, right?
Oh, I know.
Right? Like now thing. It's like you're cooking fucking chicken nuggets for this kid. You got the,
that's crazy.
You know, and it's all, you know, it's just bullshit.
It blows my mind that
we're ruining them in a way. You know
for sure.
I mean? Like in a way, they're growing like in a
they're growing up with an illusion
that we could have never even imagined. You know what I mean? Like mentally, even spiritually, in a sense, I would say some of these kids are way more just.
A lot of these kids are so spiritually inept.
For sure.
Dude.
But at the same time, we have to get back to the basics, too, in certain senses, because that's what made us, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's what...
There has to be a balance.
Exactly.
You know?
Right.
And I think that's something that we're trying... I think our generation, even coming into, like, because we're coming into main stage now. Like, our generation is coming to main stage, which I'm super excited about, because I do see homeostasis with our generation. We are a big fan of balance. Oh, yeah. It seems like our generation is a big fan of balance, where like we do acknowledge the need for the, like, hey, we do need to acknowledge the old, right, in the past, but we also need to move on to the future.
Exactly.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. I
think, you know, one, we kind of were born at, like, that perfect time. You know what I mean? Like, I would say, like,
I think so.
28, maybe, 28, 29 to, like, 37. You know what I mean? We kind of, 38, 39, like, that range, like, that 28 to 38 range type deal.
Yeah.
Maybe even, you know.
I would even go to 40, really.
Yeah, you got your variables.
I would say from 1984 to, like, 95.
Yeah, 95, 96.
Yeah.
You got a couple stragglers in there, but...
They do exist.
Yeah, they do exist. I met a couple and I was actually kind of impressed, but, yeah, but we grew up in that generation where it's like, we had that balance, right? Like we grew up outside.
Yep,
right?
we still had that. That was still
For
a thing.
sure, for sure. We had the neighborhood. You know what I mean? We fought. We rode bikes.
Do you remember your last childhood summer?
Man.
It's
like being like a real kid, like not being in
like
the
riding bikes,
shit,
riding bikes, basketball, like kid drama bullshit.
I can't, man. It was weird. I would have to say my real last summer was like when I lived in Steubenville, you know, like or Wintersville, whatever, with my grandparents, and because I mean I had kind of still those kind of childish summers after that, but. Yeah, that was like the last like real like cause when we moved to Toledo we didn't have that neighborhood, you know what I mean, like we were like the only kids in the neighborhood that we knew type shit, you know what I mean. We did our thing, but it wasn't like when I lived in my little neighborhood that my grandparents lived in Wintersville was like they call it Little Africa now, you know what I mean.
Oh shit, okay.
And it's always been like just a bunch of like black families basically, and it was a bunch of kids, you know what I mean. Like it was like one white lady in our neighborhood. She was married to a black dude. She was across the street from us. And it's crazy because Winterville is outside of Steubenville, right? It's kind of like a little like suburb type deal. Almost,
you ain't even got a time. I know what her haircut was too.
She definitely had the mixed mom haircut. Our mixed kid mom haircut for sure. That's sweet. Yeah, but so we had like that neighborhood just was like we just had like 10. Probably like 8 to 10 boys that lived in the neighborhood, like 6 to 8 girls. You know what I mean? Like, and the girls over there doing their thing, patty cakes, whatever, playing the hand games, jump roping, all. You know what I mean? And we're over here like building ramps. You know what I mean? Trying to be BMX, playing football. Yep. You know what I mean? Doing all and fighting, wrestling. Shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just, man, we don't have that anymore. I mean, some neighborhoods still do. I love to see it, but it's just like, man,
I rarely see that. I don't see like actually I'm kind of scared. That is one thing I am scared for like my kids when I see how their friends are friends and like the way that they're like structured relationships. It's like, man, you don't realize that like
this is not real friendship.
This is not real friendship.
That's not your dog.
This is very like tit for tat. This is very like comparative and like just weirdly. This isn't symbiotic at all. Like there's no love here. Like. And that's the big thing. There's an absence of love. It's like, genuine. Dude, but there's also like this weird thing that happens where they adhere to like these emotional states where like mental illness is like a cool thing now.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my god, like I got anxiety and I'm
and I mean, obviously we both worked in that field. We understand it. We know that it is a thing.
It is a thing. You know
what I mean? But it shouldn't be such a thing with young
there is a problem with exposing kids who don't actually need therapy to therapy. There's actually been studies that show that there is a negative impact to exposing kids who don't need therapy. Now, not to say like it's not good to have a social support because it is, or if something happens, but there is actual evidence that shows that it's degradatory. Dude, yeah, man. Let me just bring let's give you an example. I catch my kids smoking weed, right? You know what I mean? Like smoking weed. Doing heroin. Let's put them in the same group.
Right.
Yeah, smart.
This kid.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it's just completely different. It's like two extremes.
Or putting kids on like MAT, like that blows my mind. Yeah. It's like,
or you got like a kid that like is full blown like talking to himself. He gets in modes where he starts like shooting people and stuff, and like you got him chilling with a kid that got caught smoking weed, and his parents are from the suburbs. They got private insurance, so they're like, hell yeah,
scared straight program.
In the same group.
No. Yeah, it's stupid, man. And it's like I think I'm actually right now. I really considered it, and I'm gonna try to push for it, man. I would like to group. Individuals who are not really necessarily against social workers, but really want to mitigate and limit the authority that they have in the process. Yeah, well, I want there to be more control when it comes to social workers, because the thing is they have a lot of say, and like with CSB,
or
with
I would
like
just say that whole field in general.
yeah,
right?
dude, there needs to be a better balance of there needs to be a better system of checks and balances when it comes to social work because of the bias. Like, how many times have we heard of like people getting molested after they get taken by CSB, and then like come to find out like, well, why'd they get taken? It's like, oh well, the day that they came and did a home visit, they didn't have milk and eggs in there because they didn't go grocery store shopping. Like, it's like, how many times because of a bias
they were better off with no eggs than and yeah, come on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, what if they didn't eat eggs, and what if they don't eat dairy?
Right.
It's like the amount of authority that they have is scary, and I think one of the things we've seen them overstep, dude.
You know, and I would say
it's
too.
Disgusting.
Okay, let's bring it full circle. So we're talking about mental health, and especially amongst children, right? So let's talk about this. Let's bring it full circle. And it's just kind of like a little theory I have, but I want to see what you have to say about it. But so, like I was just talking about 1,000 years ago, right? You only knew what somebody taught you, right? Then we started reading. Still to this day, not everybody can read, right? But everybody can hop on the phone and take in plenty of information, right?
Yeah.
A lot of which is garbage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or fake news, folks, whatever, you know, right? So, we're taking in all this shit at an alarming rate, right? Like literally within, let's shorten the timeline, right? Let's go from 1980 to 2020, right?
Oh god.
We got 40 years.
We went from nothing to cell phones and everything.
We went from encyclopedias and people and, you know, books, you know.
Tube TVs.
Right. TV that had the news, a couple shows, sports, right? Yeah. A lot of people still listening to the radio, right?
No, music was even recorded differently.
I mean, even all the way up until the early 2000s, the radio was like biggest thing for music.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, just for a lot of things. I mean, like you can listen to sports, all that, right?
Yep.
So now, within 40 years, we went from that to literally you can take in fucking a million years worth of bullshit in 2 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we wonder why the mental health rate is like
that's true.
Is rising at an alarming rate, bro. Our brains are not designed. I mean, don't get me wrong. Our brains are amazing. You know what I mean? But
I know what you're saying though.
But where it's not designed, it can't go from taking in. You can only read so fast. You know what I mean?
We're getting away from basic and fundamental parts of who we are as a species because of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And now we're basically being reprogrammed at an alarming rate.
Yeah,
right?
And we don't even notice it.
And now we wonder why people are talking to themselves, why they're, you know, I mean, this has always been a thing.
I believe it's on purpose.
I feel like it's escalating things at an alarming rate, right? Because our brains, I'm sure doctors and scientists can't even. We're still figuring this shit out, right? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Oh, they didn't even know where consciousness comes from yet.
Right? Yeah.
So,
you see what I'm saying?
come on, man.
And I mean, we've made exponential advances. We made crazy advances. I mean, like I look at
in terms of imaging and understanding.
I look at like the MRDD field and things like that. Like, you know, when I was a kid, man, like my grandma was in that field and. You know, she had a kid that she worked with that had autism, you know, and he was like a teenager. He couldn't speak, you know, and stuff. And just seeing those kids at the school and stuff compared to now, like when you get a kid like mainstream in like school or something that has autism or Down syndrome or some of these things that we now know a lot more about. I mean, we went to school with some kids that had Down syndrome and things like that were like, we're part of the part of the crew.
They're part of
the so
Mike, shout out to Mike, man.
So
we all love ranch.
Yeah, you know, like so it's just like the advancements and you know are crazy, but at the same time, I feel like we're not designed to take in information at this rate.
Well,
especially all this garbage information. Right?
Yeah,
you know
well, that's
like,
because the ones that control us are they're the ones who like seek academic like fulfillment, right? Like we have that part of us that are still curious, and natural scientists. We are all natural scientists, and we're born that. We're natural born artists and scientists, regardless of what people believe we are, because we're curious. That's how we learn, right? So it's natural for us still. When we have a structure and a system that says like we need to add as many distractions as possible because people who are educated become complacent when they notice that the society in which they live is not meeting the standard in which they promise. So like, what do? They throw in these distractions and these things that purposely deplete us.
Don't focus on that.
And
don't focus on the fact that you're paying 3 times as much what you paid for eggs or milk or whatever, because
dude,
Kanye West is losing his mind.
Dude, do you know how often they use that as a ploy?
Come on, man.
Dude.
Sports, all this shit, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I love football, like, but
it's a
at
distraction.
a young age, I realized, like, oh, okay, this is how they keep you in a box.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's another distraction,
and it's been going on since the beginning of time. You go back to the ancient Romans, the gladiator sports, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're fucking you guys over. You're paying taxes, but hey, look.
Gladius
is about to fight Romeus and for the 5th time. And
this could be
after that, we're going to send a tiger in there. Somebody went to India and got this thing, and if he survives that, we may actually free him.
And everybody forgets completely. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's actually my point. What I think has actually changed in society is the fact that they have gotten better at that. So, like, the distraction thing has always been a distraction thing, and we've always been kind of aware of it. We now live in a society where, because of our technology and the availability that we have, we are always susceptible to it, even on a subliminal level. So, like, my phone will always, this thing will go off, and, like, the screen will light up because it's trying to get me to come over and talk.
It's trying to get you to look at it.
That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
So, like, not only have...
Your phone will, like, if you haven't been on your phone for an hour or so, 30 minutes, it'll just vibrate and, like, pop up a random notification.
Yeah.
Just so you can be like,
it's a useless notification. Like,
here.
Credit Karma says that your credit score is still the same.
Yeah.
I checked.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
Exactly.
Thanks, man.
Exactly. Julio313 just posted on his Snapchat story. You don't even know this motherfucker. You don't watch their
You might want to check this out,
dude.
dude.
Come on, please.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yo, matter of fact, they've gotten as far as this. Matter of fact, I just peeped this on Snap. Like, they'll be like, "Hey, you may want to see this," and it'll be like some shit, like somebody I didn't even know I followed. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like some story, and I'm like. And they might know that I was just at the gym 2 hours ago, so they're like, "Oh yeah, this guy does this workout. Check it out."
Yeah.
And it's like, what? Like,
that it doesn't
wild.
seem to like scare
It's
people.
wild. Yeah.
That like, this algorithm just connected me because me and Julio just did crunches. That's terrifying, dude.
You know what I mean?
That's fucking scary.
You know what I mean? You check in at Planet Fitness and they're like, "Oh, we got you."
So
Facebook Reels coming up.
We know that we already live, like, what we live in is purposely a trap. So my thing is coming to terms with the fact that, one, I recognize this as a human being. Like, we live in a trap and it's on purpose.
Oh, for sure.
I struggle with participating in it. And I think you know that. Like, anybody that knows me knows
you personally, I know this for sure, yeah.
Yeah, I have a really hard time fitting into society. Not because I can't, but because I just don't want to.
I know. Sometimes I have to be that friend that, like, reminds you, like, Zach,
you have to function here.
You are still a functioning member of society. Like, you I know you want to be anti as fuck, but, dog, like,
yeah.
Still gotta, rent's due on the 1st. Lectures due on the 15th. You know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't change.
You
man.
can't just cut them off. Like, but I feel you 100%.
But that's why connections are important, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you
gotta have them people in your life for sure. Like,
they are my purpose. Because without them, dude, I'm living in the woods with a loincloth.
Man, fuck.
Without a doubt.
Nah, man, I feel
bird call and all, bro. Like, the only way you're gonna get a hold of me, you're gonna be like, you're like, I gotta go
Zach,
get back.
don't shoot. No, I'm
It's me, Dave, dude. Yeah, no,
man.
it's just scary though, man. Like I'm scared. That's the thing I get scared for my kids is like we already live in a world that predicts everything that we do. That sells our information and our data without us. Like, there's lawsuits every other week where it's just like, hey, you can be part of this lawsuit because someone sold your data. It's like, what the fuck, dude?
I didn't even know.
I didn't even know, man.
That's
you know
what that $29 was.
Yeah, man. And look, you know what? And they're like,
card.
we are going to pay the smallest amount, but they actually don't recognize, people aren't recognizing how damaging it actually is. So, like, these companies basically know how to brainwash us now, and they're selling our information based off of what we like and what we do.
You spend time looking at on your phone.
So, basically, what we did was create a society that was linked to the CIA and all those...
To everything.
To everything. Well, I say the CIA because fuck you guys. Just to fucking give you a fucking...
Flicking off the microphone.
Flicking it off. I'm doing the Triple H, like...
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Suck it, bitch.
Yeah. But, no, real talk, though.
What if someone just came in and bit to it, like...
Two guys in black suits outside waiting for me.
You guys read an article tomorrow like, Zach Fitzpatrick and David McIntyre killed themselves.
All of a sudden. Oh, man, that's wild as fuck.
Gun wasn't found. Both had bullet holes twice to the back of the head. Obviously, it was a suicide.
It was found with 3 gallons of wine in his stomach. And a bunch of... what are the new drugs? Quaaludes. Not Quaaludes. That's old shit. Barbiturates. Is that it? No, that's old shit, too. You can tell I don't do drugs. What's the new shit? Xanax or something?
Yeah, go to Xanax. There you go. Percocet.
They both had 50 milligrams of Xanax.
There was fentanyl all in their system.
There was fentanyl, yeah. Like, goddamn.
Say Quaaludes.
People are like, what? I'm crying.
Damn, dog.
Bill Cosby, shout out.
Hey, oh my god, dude. Hey, everybody that's 30 and over just said laughed their ass off because you just said Quaaludes.
Anybody over 50 right now is like, yeah, back in my day, that was a
Anybody over 40 just started telling a Quaalude story.
Oh my god, man! One time, one of my boys, I think that's what they got him with.
Hey, I will tell you a funny Quaalude story though. My Uncle Todd told me this story one time because he used to love Quaaludes. And he's a master chef actually. He's like a super awesome guy.
In the kitchen,
dude. He was, but when he was younger, I guess he used to take Quaaludes because they could always get them. And he said that it was like my Aunt Donna and some family member were coming over, and he was upset because he had already taken the Quaaludes, and they they were fucking talking and shit, and he said, I don't know how long I was sitting there for. But I was sitting there for a good amount of time pouring her motherfucking coffee. And I was like, pouring whose coffee? This came out of nowhere in the story. And he was like, yeah, came out of nowhere too when I was fucking doing it. He walked out in the living room on my Aunt Donna.
Blacked out,
dude, just fucking pouring coffee into this cup, like in front of everybody. And the worst part about it, he was like, man, the worst part about it, man, was that, because he's really monotone. He was like, and the worst part about it was I wasn't even pouring it in the cup. He's like pouring it on the floor. Just like fucked up, missing the fucking cup.
Oh, man.
I was like, shit. He also almost went to Cuba, ran away to Cuba one time.
I guess I'll tell this story. I feel like we're like almost getting to like the end, so I guess we'll just wrap up on some like funny shit, you know? So fuck it. Like we got pretty heavy, so. But that kind of reminds me.
We're almost to an hour there. It's pretty good.
Yeah, we're rolling.
I have way more. Dave gets deep.
That reminds me of a funny story though, man. Like, I'm a teenager, fucking, experimenting with weed and shit. You know what I mean? I won't say it was like one of my first times smoking weed, but it was like one of my first times being like high as fuck, dude. Like
real high. Okay, yeah. I remember that.
It was So,
very psychoactive.
I guess I should. Man, I hope my grandparents and nobody listens to this podcast.
About 15,000 people do.
Well, shit. Well, I mean, I'm pretty open. I keep it real. But transparency is valuable. But man, so me and my boy, we honestly, so this was like, back in the day when we were teenagers, we were smoking mids. Right?
Yeah. Oh my god, right? Jesus Christ.
Mexican brick weed.
Oh my god. You remember how compressed it used to be sometimes?
Oh man. right.
And then when you get the everyone had hydro. Remember, fucking dro.
So this was like when the dro first started coming around.
Okay.
Right?
That wash
But
green.
me and my boy, we had this like plug. It's like Mexican chick. And she was plugged, like, and she would look out for us. So, like, she would, like, give us, like, blunts of dro for, like, $10. That was back when it was, like, $20 for, like, one blunt of dro, right?
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Right, yeah. So, we get this shit from her or whatever, and, smoke, we go back, we end up fucking, we were at my buddy's house. We fucking must have rode our bikes or something, like, fucking, like, 8 miles to my house. You know how we used to do. 8-10 miles, whatever. Fucking, we get back to my house, man, and like I said, it's summertime, we just rode bikes at my house in the fucking heat.
Oh, God,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so my boys, like, and we're blasted, you know.
It activated it, dude. That gets even more.
You know, back when we were smoking that fucking Reggie and shit, bro, you hit some dro, you were fucking, oh my God, you'd be out for the whole day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I passed out halfway in my doorway.
It's not the same. Even with this, like the medical shit, all that, it's not the same. It's just, anyways.
It was just something.
So
there was something about that transitional period.
It was, right. So
our system couldn't metabolize it fast enough.
Nah, and being fucking probably like 14, some shit, you know, young punk. So,
fucking ate a piece of toast that day.
Right. So we get back to my house and my buddy, he's like, "Hey man, go get us a glass of water. Can you go get us a glass of water?"
They're waiting outside for
something. I'm thinking like, we made it in my room safely in the AC. Like, we just need to, like, bunker down, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know how it was. You were trying to hide out. Like, you weren't anybody to see your fucking bloodshot ass eyes.
You should have got a drink on the way in.
Right. Mind you, Zach, side note,
should even hit the faucet.
My room had a sink in it. I don't know if you remember at the Andovers.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The apartment that we moved in, it was like, it was
I don't remember you having a sink in your room.
Yeah, my room had like a little sink. Like both the rooms had like, the guy that lived in that apartment before like customized it. He was like rich or whatever.
I remember that.
He made it like customized for his kids and shit. So my sister's room had like a vanity thing in it.
Oh.
And my room had like a sink with like a mirror. It was like a male vanity.
Yeah.
You could like brush your teeth and shit in your room. You know what I mean?
Did it have a was it the cast irons? Not the cast iron. The shiny metal under like the.
No, it was just like a basic joint, but like. All I know is I had never seen no shit like that, and when I seen that room and I seen the sink in it, I was like, "Oh, this is my room." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But mind you, I had the sink. Like, we could have just got some water. Like, that's all we were drinking anyway. It was fucking tap water. This was before the Flint shit and all that, right? Before we realized like tap water was like gonna kill us, right? So
it sure does.
I go up to the kitchen, bro, and it's funny because you'll get why this story reminded me of that. I go up to the kitchen. My grandma and my sisters are in the kitchen. And I go grab 2 glasses, bro. And now I'm like, oh, shit, they know I'm high. You know what I mean? So now I'm like acting even higher. You know what I mean? Like,
the paranoid high.
I go grab the fucking...
Grabbing stuff hard and then soft.
I go to grab the glasses out and I, like, set them down, like, so slow on the counter. I'm like, I grab it, I'm just moving it slow motion down, like... Dink. Dink. You know, set them on the counter. And I realized, like, damn, that was terrible. Like, and I look behind me, like, and they're, like, staring at me, like, damn. Like, what the fuck is up with him? You know what I mean? And then I go to get the water, and it just seemed like, you know what I mean? Like, probably fucking, it took, like, 3 minutes to fill each glass. You know what I mean? Type shit. Like, I'm just...
Come on!
You know... Yo, I don't think, you know, nobody ever said that to me or whatever, but like they for sure knew I was like smoking weed or something, and like, and I was under watch after that. You know what I mean? Like shit was wild.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was just over a couple apartments over at Ernie's house getting stoned like a motherfucker all the time, and he used to hide me in his bedroom like that because I got funny when I'd smoke. Like, I'd laugh. I'd just laugh at everything. Everything was funny as fuck to me. And then, like, I just couldn't remember like some things.
Because your life was so fucked up.
Yeah, bro. It was like, I
man,
swear to God. It's like the first time dude, actually, to be honest, that's why I did fall in love with drugs.
Yeah.
I like felt relief for the first time. But like all seriousness aside, dude, this one time his mom was cool. She didn't care that we smoked, but for some reason Ernie liked to pretend like we didn't smoke. Yeah. So like he would like hide me in the room. The whole house smells like fucking weed because we're smoking her weed.
She knows.
You know what I'm saying? She knows. She comes home and smokes weed, right? Like she rolls perfect joints, by the way. Cindy, if you're listening to this, you roll amazing joints, and I love you. But she so he's like, Zach, stay in the room. I gotta go talk to my mom. He's blowed as fuck, but he's better at like keeping it together because he's conscious about it, or at least I can't tell. I don't really care, but I completely forget the fact that he told me to stay in the room. Like I'm in there. It probably couldn't have been a minute. Like I'm in there and I'm like staring at this. He's got this clown picture. And I'm like, oh, man, I hate sitting in this fucking room with this fucking picture. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out there. I heard his mom, so I'm like, oh, Cindy's here. I'm going to go talk to her. Even though Ernie was literally 2 seconds earlier, was just like, do not leave my room. I don't want my mom to know that we're stoned. And I was like, all right, Ernie, no fucking problem, dude. Got it. A-okay, not going to leave the room. 30 seconds, heard Cindy, left the fucking room. And they're talking about making, you know the, like, noodles that you put on the stove with, like, milk and butter?
Right, like pasta sauce.
Yeah, pasta. Yeah, right. So like they're sitting there and they're talking and I don't know what the fuck they're saying. I can't really tell. I'm in like my own world. At that time, it's still euphoric and like everything looks just so crazy to me. Yeah. Because I'm actually stoned. Like this is probably like I was on drugs prior to this, like Xanax and shit. But like weed was one of the last things that I was introduced to, really. So like I smoked it, but not a lot. So like this. Yeah, no, it was like the last thing. It's like the thing that actually convinced me to get away from drugs.
Yeah.
But I fucking come up and I put my arm around Ernie and I put my arm around Cindy and I'm like, do we need eggs? Like they're just like they're talking about fucking making noodles.
Yeah. We need eggs.
We need eggs, and she looked at me and she just started laughing her fucking ass off. And I completely forgot what I had said, and I was talking about something. I don't know what I was talking about at that point, but she started laughing, and because they didn't answer me though, like real talk, I got eggs out and like started making them. And they just like let me do it, man. They just like let me do it. Like, this dude's fucking.
It's wild.
It was fun.
It's wild.
It was a good day, man.
Man.
I miss having the innocent fun of being on, like, doing that stuff, because, you know, when you get later in life, it gets so not innocent. You know what I mean? The hard drugs were easy. But, yeah, man. No, I appreciate you coming out. We're at an hour now. I would like, to take a break at least for a minute.
Yeah.
But, I did want to touch on something else before you go, if you're good.
Let's do it.
All right, we're gonna take a break real quick.
Yeah, let's take it.
All right, everybody, welcome back. That was a good break.
10 minutes later.
Was it 10 minutes?
I don't know. We're back. My phone's charging. We're good. We're good.
That's
we're
right.
Back.
Back on top of it. So. More times than not, if I have a conversation with David McIntyre, we talk about otherworldly things, and I don't want today to be any different. So
okay,
you know,
let's go.
There's a couple things that recently I was gonna send you this video of this dude named Amin. I can't remember his last name, but he's a doctor and he studies like Greek text.
Okay.
But he had brought to the world's attention that in the Greek version of the Bible, Jesus was caught with like an underage kid, and he was like this human trafficker.
What?
And like people during that time period where Christ was like a term for someone who was like a spiritual leader.
Right.
And like just a lot of these misconceptions that we have about later texts, but not specifically about it being real or not, but my thing is that I for one have had personal experiences where I know that I believe in an afterlife because because I've overdosed so many times, and 2 of those times
you were close to death.
Yeah, I was very very close, and like I remember specific things, and like when I was younger and as a kid,
I've met other people that have been close to death that have basically, shared the same
dude,
thing.
it's Marie's seen the fucking tunnel
to it, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Marie was actually going. Like I wasn't even going anywhere yet. My specifics was just I just remember being in like comfortable darkness, and it was nothing. And like I know that sounds scary. Someone was like, "That sounds terrifying," and I was like, "No, it was comforting. Like for the first time ever, like I had nothing around me that was scary."
I think all of that is really based on your perception of death.
Yeah,
and
yeah. Well, you see what I think you see what you need to.
Your perception of God, your perception of what's right, what's wrong, etc.
So do you think that people persecute themselves?
For sure, I think because so basically, we're gonna bring it back to the Greek stuff, but like, on the death topic, like I've said, I've met other people that share similar experiences, but I think also, we're not gonna get. I'm not gonna get like super religious or nothing. I think it's based on, like I said, your perception of death, your perception of life, your perception of God, your perception of religion, what's right, what's wrong, etc. Right? Because like I've heard stories of like Buddhist people, right, that like they see like
Buddha
things that are relative to that religion, right? Or, you know what I mean? Christians that see like Jesus or the devil or whatever, right? And so
do you think you see what you
Muslims
need to?
who and all
Muhammad
these right and all, and everything leading up to those things are also in my mind, from what I heard of the stories, kind of based on what they've experienced in their life and what they grew up knowing and their religion, right? Their perception, right? You know what I mean? So
now, do you think that takes away from authenticity
of religion,
of anything, like of afterlife?
Of the afterlife?
Because it is so subjective.
Right, in that sense, right? Because that's interesting that like different people of different religions all had their different like stories leading up to death, right? That like kind of is interesting, but like I wouldn't say it takes away from the authenticity of the afterlife. I think we as humans haven't quite figured that out. You feel me? Like,
you think we're supposed to?
That might be what God is waiting for. You know what I mean? Like me personally, I believe in God, but I can't say that I'm specifically one religion. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in the Jehovah's Witness religion. You know, I've been to Christian churches. I've studied Muslim. I studied, a little bit of the Quran. I studied like the basics of it. I studied kind of the basics.
We both at the same time,
the
really.
Jewish Quran, and I mean the Jewish Torah. And I even looked into Buddhism and stuff, and just kind of like their beliefs. And honestly, bro, I think. Well, I'm not, this is not about my opinion, but I think kind of we're all kind of saying the same thing. You know what I mean?
Generally, there are similarities, and that's what I was gonna say, because it would actually, I think it would surprise you to find out how often, even when somebody doesn't even have preconceived concept, like I can't even say the
same. I take that back. I won't say they're all saying the same thing, but I will say that they all have a similar.
They do.
Idea.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Like there's always like a figure, right? Like a special figure or somebody that is
and I absolutely believe in the Creator. If you don't believe that, I mean, everybody's entitled to their own beliefs. I don't, whatever, and
no, it's 2024. No, they're not.
I mean, so they definitely are now, more than ever. So it's like. When I look at like, I'm big on like nature and stuff, and like when I'm out there fishing or just hiking or whatever, like, and just for me to like have such an understanding of knowledge, of animals and science and kind of how all that stuff works, and when you get to like the math and the science behind it, it's like, there's definitely got to be a creator, right? Because all these numbers and things wouldn't make sense.
You know what's funny?
Otherwise, right? Or just when you see just me, like, it fascinates me. Like, I watch the way these animals, like, interact and stuff. Dude, we do not give animals enough credit, bro. Like, animals have been here longer than us, bro. They're so into their instincts. We're part of them, dude. Their instincts make them more powerful than we are in a way. Like, bro, like the way they function just out there in nature, like, it's mind blowing sometimes, bro. And that's probably, I think that's my favorite part of it. Is just being out there and seeing like some of the stuff I've seen as far as like birds like hunting or just fish like doing their little like mating or whatever they're doing, different stuff.
I
Maybe
think
seeing a fish blow up on another fish or whatever, but it's just
schools
like,
of fish blow my mind.
Perfect example. A couple weeks ago, I'm bluegill fishing, bro. I get this nice sized bluegill like right up like 3 feet in front of me, bro. All of a sudden, I just see like a silver flash like come across. And it was crazy because it all was happening so fast. I had already seen the bluegill, but I see the silver flash and I see it's like on my line. And I'm like, what, did I hook a carp? Like, what is this? I wasn't even thinking bass. You know what I mean? I'm like, it happened so fast, I couldn't even like, and I literally could see it, but I didn't even process it that fast. Like, damn, this bass just swallowed my bluegill, dog. Like, and like, damn near came up on the bank with it. You know what I mean? Like, and when I pulled him up, like, he's all beat up and I'm just like, bro, like, it's just, it's amazing. I just love it. Like, but to get back to it,
well, I think that's a natural part that we kind of reject, but we all, I think, and honestly, we are animals. Like, and we deny that part of us.
In a sense, man.
Dude,
you know,
look at watch Naked and Afraid. Watch how fast in 40 days people go back to living.
Oh, primitive.
Dude, and they do it perfectly with no problem.
And they start to lose their mind too, right? Because
when they're by themselves, when they're with people though.
Yeah. I like the Naked and Afraid, with the two people. I'm thinking of Alone.
The Alone one. Yeah, they go a little crazy.
About day 10 through 14, they're trying to process losing everything that they ever known out here in the outside world, right? Like, it's wild.
I think I could do
that's deep, that you just said. Man, we got way off topic, but I'm going to keep going because that's deep. You said we are animals because, we
are.
Yeah, because think about that.
We separate ourselves. Because of that, we're deprived of a natural instinct and a natural an awareness. Because we've taken ourselves out of an element that we're naturally supposed to be in. Which is why technology in the advanced world right now is working against who we are. And they know it.
It's interesting to see what happens when you do that, right? Because this is proven with other animals. Like, perfect example, like if you take a pig, right, and you just release it in the wild, it's gonna become a boar, like within like a couple weeks.
Yes, a domesticated pig will literally.
And I just said day 10 through 14 is like insane for them, right? And that change with like animals, it takes about 2 weeks, right? Like I said, a pig will turn into a wild boar. Its fur will change.
Isn't that crazy? It'll grow tusk. Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that crazy? Man?
A little hamster or a mouse or whatever, you let it out, it's gonna turn into like a wild. Mouse, right? Like a rat.
Cats are really good too.
Cats, right?
Yeah.
There's quite a few animals. There's maybe like a handful of animals. Dogs, really, too. People don't know this. So it's funny, like down in the Ville, like when I was a kid, I remember we'd be walking down the city steps, right? And it was a pack of wild dogs. Yeah. And everybody just knew, like, it's wild dogs. Like, just, you gotta, like, right? Like, just look out for them type shit. It was, like, kind of like a little legend for real, but they weren't real, though. They were real. Right, till you get caught walking down the city steps and you just see, like 15 sets of eyes looking at you from the distance, bro. So some people said like that it was coyote mixes and shit in there and shit, but like, bro, it was just like wild dogs, like, and it was like all different sizes, like little ass, like you know what I mean, Shih Tzu looking like dogs, like
Chihuahuas,
big like Doberman type dog. You feel me? Like and they were just out there like a pack. Like wolves, you feel me? Like and stalking you while you walking down the city steps. Like don't get. Like, let alone what happens, I don't know, like, what if somebody came down there just woozy drunk, like, just falling down the steps, like, boom, that might have probably been, like, city dog dinner, for real.
Yeah,
like,
they ate people.
Yeah,
How was the homeless population? Now you think about it, was it
when I was a kid, still is to this day, for it to be such a fucked up economy, but, for real though, it's wild, man. It's wild. It's wild to relate that though because we really do, if you take away all this shit, you know what I mean? who are you? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I have a theory that most people don't know who they are because they've never experienced that rough side of like when you go through things in life, you become aware of who you are as a person. So when you like experience tough things in life, and I'm not saying like
adversity you know, creates it creates some substance. You know what I mean?
It just allows you to see clearly. Like for instance, I know that you know what it's like to be hungry, right? I know you know that. And the truth is,
I'm skinny as fuck. I'm hungry all the time.
Dude,
hungry right now.
There's some people in the world that don't even know what it's like. Now we live in a country where like even while homeless you can eat.
No,
right?
but we talking about real hunger.
But like I know what it feels like to like really not eat, right? Like, and I think that like. I don't know. I know that for the most part, like people can relate, but there are depths in which like other people can't, and that creates like
just adversity in general. You know, I think just being able to understand a situation through experience. You know
it shows you who you are, man.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does develop some character, and it also being able to,
especially when you do the right thing,
being able to build that empathy and that understanding. I think that builds a certain type of character too. You know what I mean? That awareness. You know what I mean? Of being able to build that over time.
I got attacked by an eyelash, dog.
I seen you over there crying. I thought I was like, damn, the conversation ain't getting heavy.
Man, this is
what
getting so deep, bro.
Hey, what the hell?
Like an eyelash just poking right in the eyeball.
Boy,
that was crazy. Yeah, no, man. I'm like I'm saying, I know that everybody goes through something, right? And there's different levels to that, obviously, but I just think that there's an advantage. I'm gonna like honestly, like I know that trauma is not the best thing in somebody's life, but there is an advantage to hypersensitive people. Like there's an advantage when utilized appropriately. Like you can use these things and these habits that you formulated out of survival in like the most beneficial way in society. And when that happens, you become like that animal who's adapted to your environment, because really if you think about what society represents, it's fucking chaos. So when you become a master of chaos, you become something that's fucking lethal. But like, what is the willingness to subject yourself to a system you hate? And like, and if you do that, you're equally guilty for participating. So how do you relinquish yourself from something that you adhere to, that you have to live, right? But like, you know better than. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a difficult thing. I feel like I'm not gonna lie. You are so goddamn intelligent with these words. You kind of lost me there for a second. Hold on. Whoa. I was with you for like the first 20 seconds, and then I'm like, hold on, relinquish. Let's bring it back. Oh God, man. Well, like, so basically, how do you break free of society, knowing, because you know that it's bad. Right. We know that it's a bad thing.
Okay, we're bringing this back. Okay.
But we have to be part of it, and if you're not part of it, you get penalized for it.
Yeah.
So how do you? Because we know better. We know better than the things that are wrong in society.
It's the balance, bro. But
you can't balance with wrong.
Well, and then
we can't balance with wrong.
Well,
this system's
I'm not gonna get all cliche on you again, but. You know, I mean, honestly, this is something I stand on and I believe in. It's just like, man, you got to be that change you want to see. Right?
So give me an example of where that starts.
It's on you and, like, finding that balance, right? Like, obviously, there's a lot of things that's not right in the world,
you
right?
So you mean perceptively, like,
right,
balance
like,
on, like, how you
and just your life, right? Because, like, without being on top of your shit, you can't do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be on top of yourself first, and then your family, right? And then, like, from there, but, like, the shit you stand on is gonna, you know what I mean, carry out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you just gotta kind of, like, I feel like that's our responsibility as mankind and society,
so
is, like,
equally,
to,
like individually,
right, find that balance, right? Like, you gotta pick your battles, right? Like, you can't, like... But certain shit you most definitely have to stand on. You know what I mean?
For survival, right?
You know what I mean? Ethics. There's certain principles and ethics and you know, whatever builds your character. So like, and whatever, like I said, the change that you may want to see or whatever.
Right.
You have to start there with yourself and your family, right? You know what I mean? And then you could take it from there, but it's just finding that balance.
I don't think there's any real separating then from society then, like, because you can't like
I mean, bro, this world is crazy, right? Like, obviously, there's a lot of things that you wanna separate your family from, right?
But
Like,
the world's different now, so now discerning things is different than it used to be, right? Like we used to be
absolutely.
able to keep things out of our household, but now YouTube shows your kids everything. So like we can't
Yeah,
keep shit out of the house.
I know. Well, that's where you come in as the leader, right? You know what I mean? And it's like I said, and what you stand on is what will be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does follow suit.
Hey man, shout out my dog Jay, man. Oh, I remember I was a young man. I kind of thought I had it all figured out, but I really like looking back. You know, obviously I was just beginning to figure things out. But I was doing very well. But I'm looking back. I'm proud of that young man. You know what I mean? And he helped develop who I am today. But
yeah,
I remember. And we still working. But I remember my boy Jay, man. He told me, stand. He said sometimes you gotta stand firm on your rock, young man. Something like that. He used to always hit me with these analogies, right? You know what I mean? And basically, what he was saying is shit. Like what you tolerate is what you will have. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
As men, as leaders, you know what I mean? Like, what you tolerate is what you have. Rather that be with your wife, rather that be with your kids, rather that be with your boss, rather that be with.
So it's really like chiseling out your own shit in the world.
And a lot of times, motherfuckers just like miss that whole part of life, right? And it's like.
Oh, because they don't apply,
and then they get stuck in this position, this woe is me, or this or just this position that they want to get out of.
The victim.
Or even if they're not playing victim, they're in this position that they want to get out of. And
some people don't know it, even if they're
pretty much the victim, because they're blaming all these other people or whatever. But in reality, you created this, right? Like you let if you're a guy, say you're a man and your wife cheats on you, right? And you're like, I've seen this. Like, these are all situations I've seen. And, like, the guy's, like, all, like, fucking beating up on himself. You know what I mean? And just all in this weird way, in this weird situation. And
I was like, something wrong
it's
with
like,
her
but yeah. And then it's like, and then you're like, well, how did this happen? And all this. And it's like, you created that environment. Like, right? Or there were things that you missed that you should have picked up on that, like, led you to this, right? Like, or, like, your kids. Like, if your kids are doing something that they're not supposed to do, or whatever it is, especially with your kids, right? Because you absolutely are, like, you're, for sure, like, they want to be like you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if there's something that you want to change in them, you have to show them, like, hey, this is how we do this. Like, oh, you're bullying people? No, we're nice to people. We're giving. We're, like that's leadership to me. You know what I mean?
Right, through example. Yeah, of course.
And true leadership, like, man, it's very rare in this world, bro.
Anymore, I think.
It's very rare, bro.
But I don't know, man. I think because of the awareness, like even the conversation we're having right now, there's gonna be people who are like, yeah, I completely agree with this. They go like, you know what, I do respect the individual who's decisive when they need to be decisive, and the person who stands up when they need to stand up, and like routinely does what they have to do to take care of their family. And I think the thing is really, which I do heavily agree with, is like really. Because I was just kind of playing devil's advocate there and asking the question, but like,
see where I was gonna go.
Yeah, but you have to establish your own in society, because if you wait for something to happen, or like you think that it's going to adhere to you, it's not going to.
Absolutely.
So you got to fucking chisel out your own shit.
Absolutely, man. And that's the hard part, right?
Yeah,
that's the hard part, right? And even like what I was just saying about like being that leader and making that change in your people, right? Is like you said, chiseling it out, bro. That's everyday grind, bro. Just like you wake up and get money, just like you wake up and do whatever you got to do for that day, you know, work out, whatever. So it's work, bro. And I'm not married, but I understand, like, that, like, marriage is work, bro.
That's what it
and
is.
like everybody, dude. Like, society, social media, everything just promotes it. Like people just think it's like, oh, I'm gonna have this sweet ass wedding with my best friends and like her best friends and all our people, man. And we're gonna just have like, you know, and then everything. Yeah, we're gonna travel and do all, and it's like, bro, it's work.
It's
anything that's great is work, and I'm glad that I've done so many things. Like not to say I'm like super accomplished or something, right? Like I feel like
you've had experience.
Now that I'm in my 30s, like my early 30s, I'm figuring things out. You know what I mean? I'm starting to know like, you know, this is this and that's that. I'm not gonna go for this. You know what I mean, right? Yeah, like we're not playing games anymore, right? So, man, it's just I'm thankful for those experiences, though. You know what I mean? Because that is what develops that. Like you were basically, just to bring it full circle, that's what you were saying. It's like adversity is what creates, you know, that substance,
the man, the woman. Because it shows you who you are and what you can do. And especially when you overcome things that you thought you couldn't.
Oh my God. That's powerful. Oh my God. I think that was one of the crazy. And it's still like it blows my mind sometimes. Like, obviously, you know, I think about my son every day. You know what I mean? And it's just like sometimes I'm just like, how did I even like make it through that, bro? Like sometimes I'm like thinking back on the experiences, like, you know, being at St. Jude's and some of the things that like. Being here, you know, being in a hospital for 6 months and stuff, and it's just like, dude, I think back and I'm like, how did I even like?
That's when I remember what I always tell you about it, man. Like, you have no idea the immense strength that we've seen on the outside looking in.
I think back, like, bro, like I was like so like focused and like just like.
Well, what was your resolve? Your resolve was he's going to live.
Right. And it's just, this is my son. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, so it's just like, dude, it's wild, bro. And sometimes people will ask me like, well, how did you do that? How did you do that? And a lot of times I'm thinking like, bro, you would do the same thing. You just don't know what you can do because it hasn't been in front of you.
It hasn't happened to you.
And I know that you love your kid and like you wouldn't. You know what I mean? You wouldn't just give up on them. You know what I mean? You would, as a father, it's just like, I feel like it's just instinct. I mean, I'm sure there's people out there. I mean, I know there's plenty of people out there that don't take care of their kids.
A lot of people run.
But, yeah, and I know people run.
A lot of people
run from everything.
They run from everything, Dave. So, I mean, what I'm saying here now is like, it's nice to hear that you think that most people would do that. But what you find is that there is a lack of empathy sometimes, or connection, even in regards to people's children. Because some people don't know how to even show emotion. So what you find is like this...
I think it starts with loving yourself, and that's what a lot of people never get to, right? If you can't ever love yourself, you can't ever love anybody. Right. You know what I mean? You know, so...
But I think...
I'm glad I kind of, like, knew myself at a young age and kind of, like, took that journey into, like, kind of, like, figuring some things out. I wouldn't say I knew it all before I had kids, but I was very well kind of...
You're mature enough to love your son. You're mature enough to love your son.
Yeah, and by the time I had my son, I had already been a parent for some years, you know? You know, and having a little girl definitely made me like a soft
It changes
dad,
everything.
You know what I mean? Like,
having a kid changes everything. That level of like purpose and love.
I think that like, that's, okay, so when people ask like, how'd you do it? I think like everything I went through prepared me for that.
Yeah.
In a weird way, now looking back, you know what I mean, as a bigger man, you know. Yeah. And it's just like,
it's hard to say because you don't want to.
It's so hard to say, like, you know, and I'm not gonna get all emotional, but it's just like, man, like the reality of that is crazy. Like to be able to be aware of that and. Especially as you're going through things. That's what was I think so weird about the experience of losing my son was like there was different like wild like traumatic experiences like leading up to it. And like in those moments I remember still having like that mental clarity, you know what I mean, of like learning as I was, you know what I mean, going through shit, and it was just so like wild, you know what I mean, and like man,
well, I think the craziest thing about that, man, and I don't think that Because obviously, if people don't know you, they don't know the intensity in which you loved your son. I think the craziest thing when I look at that situation is, I mean, I think the funny thing is that you think that people love that same way, or like that it's normal, but it's not. Like, I'm just being honest with you, it's not. And the way that I've seen you love your son, I think forever in my mind, I will always sanctify you as a person just because of the immense amount of love. Like, that situation in part healed parts of my fucking traumatic childhood just from the fact that, like, wow, there's a parent out there that loves their kid this much the way that they were supposed to, prior to, like, because there's a lot of people that don't have that, and it's not like a normal thing. That's what I'm saying. It's not normal to, like, you know what I'm saying? And, like, I think that's a powerful thing, man.
Yeah, and you know what? To be honest, I guess I never really thought about it like that, just because I was so, like, locked in, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're getting that focus mode.
Yeah, oh, bro, and it's like, and it's primal, bro. It's primal, like, I feel like parents, like, I've seen it with moms, I've seen it with dads, but, like, honestly, there were dads there, but I remember the doctors and everything being like, it's like, we never see dads here just, like, taking kids. I was bringing my son to, like, all his appointments and stuff, and they're like, we never see dads just here, like, taking care of it, like, what, like it was, like, blowing their mind, you know what I mean? But, like, and I was thinking, like, what? You know what I mean? Like, but...
Right, it seems normal to you, because your instincts tell you different, but that just tells you the type of person you are. That doesn't explain the world.
I also seen it, too, while I was there, with, like, grandparents there with their kids, and the parents are, not there. Actually, we don't talk about that, but, and even just, like, parents that were there that were
just don't give names.
No, because it's too it's there's no way around it.
Okay.
So
we respect it.
But there were parents there that were, like, using, you know what I mean, and, like, disappearing and doing all kind of weird stuff, and, like, and I'll be seeing that shit, and I'm like, damn, man, like,
it's gonna kill you later.
It's wild, it's wild, man, because, and I mean, even I remember feeling, like, guilty, because I would, like, drink when I was there, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the night, I would, like, have a couple of drinks, and go outside and smoke a mile.
Yeah,
you
but
know
don't crucify yourself for how you manage.
No, absolutely not. Like, but as a parent, you always have guilt, right?
Yeah, well, because then you do the what if thing. Of, like,
yeah. But, as long as you're taking care of your business, you know what I mean? It's not here nor there, really, you know what I mean? Make sure you get them to appointments.
Be a fucking human.
But, right. But, yeah, man, it's wild. You definitely see it all, like...
I think seeing people, even being around people in that state, like when my dad was sick, I don't know why they put us in the children's center in Michigan, but my dad was in the Mott Center, so we were always in the kids center, which my dad never complained because we were there. He would, like, we'd get in the elevator and he would see, like, the kids, and I just remember, like, his face all the time, and he'd be like, I can't complain. Like, no, he was like, I'm 56 years old.
Yeah.
He was like, you know
it's
what,
interesting.
Man? It's the craziest thing, dude.
It was probably one of the most humbling things I ever experienced, dog. I'm not gonna lie. Like, so, like, we were here at in the hospital in Toledo for, like, what was that, like 6 months or so?
Yeah. Wasn't that long?
It was about 6 months. Was it about 6 months?
It wasn't. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like a crazy
6 months. It was from, like, January to, like, summertime, like end of summer, right? Might have even been like 8 months, right? So, that was an experience in itself, but it was a small little, like, PICU unit, you know what I mean? Like, you've seen a few, like, sick kids here and there, but it wasn't really, like, it was, like, come and go, right? Like, like, but my son was there. Like, the only kids that was probably there for, like, a long time, you know what I mean? But, at St. Jude's, bro, that's just, like, so much of a different experience, you know what I mean? Like, seeing, kids with, like, just so many kids with, like, terminal illnesses, right? And they're doing amazing things. Like, shout out St. Jude's. Like, I mean, they definitely are, changing the world in that childhood cancer game. I would say that there are some things that, are more hyped up for media than, what it is. But they do great.
Well, there's always publicity.
Yeah. Everything is not what it appears, you know what I mean? But they are doing amazing things, like the research. And it's just a much more top tier hospital. But to see just so many kids, bro, like, and it's humbling in a sense because, like, your dad said, it's like, I can't complain. Like, you're seeing kids walking around that have eye patches, they have one eye, they got one arm, they got some type of cancer or some type of brain tumor or something, and it's like, and they might just be like you might just see them like pulling their little sibling in a wagon or something through the hallway, just still trying to like help their mom type deal, you know what I mean? And it's just so humbling, bro. It's just like, man, like,
it speaks to the resiliency of kids.
The resiliency of kids is amazing, and that's why we gotta quit spoiling them babies. We gotta teach them hard work. We gotta teach them. Because they still gonna love you, I promise you that, and it's gonna make them better.
They love you more in the long run. That's why I love my dad so dearly.
Those types of things build character, man. But you know what it did to speaking to that, like what it taught me is just kids don't know at a certain, you have to be a certain age to know death, right?
To at least recognize it,
right?
Really.
Or to really understand it, probably takes a lot longer, right? Probably not really until like adulthood, really, until you really truly understand.
Well, I think culturally,
right?
that's because we don't.
You just begin to understand
ignore
it.
In
our culture, in other cultures,
it's understood early.
It's celebrated because they truly believe in the afterlife.
Yeah,
right?
See, and that's where it goes.
Stuff
where
like
I go,
right?
Do you think Americans are really truly have faith? I don't actually. I'm a person who believes that where it's more fear based, as opposed to it being a recognition and belief. And I'm not saying you can't get there. You can't get there, but I'm just because I think the things that have happened in history in terms of like religion and organized religion and hierarchy is that we have seen this hijacking happen of like beautiful things, right? And it happens all the time. Just like even what we're talking about right now, St. Jude's, we were talking about St. Jude's, right? It's a beautiful thing, but there's still a hijacking there because somebody still there is like, hey, we still gotta fucking make money, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And there's a lot. Right. And they're making plenty of it.
And they're making plenty.
I mean? But at the same time, they got the best doctors.
Right. The great things are happening.
I can't really say anything.
That's why the power to discern, like you were saying,
is so
important.
I can say something bad about them, but I would not because of the things that they did for me. You know what I mean? And my son. You know what I mean? And I wish that if there's one thing I could change about that situation, it would have been I would have went to St. Jude's in the first place. I never even stayed at St. B's in Toledo, right? You know what I mean? But St. Jude's is definitely an amazing place. They take care of you, just seeing the kids there, man, it's humbling, man. And seeing like the way that they don't really know death, they just know living, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're fighting it. They're fighting death every day, right? And it was very humbling to me because I think that's kind of what helped me stay focused and stay like
their resilience
locked in, and just like because it's like, yo, like they got it. Like let's just focus on this. You know what I mean? And
the
at
task
the same
at hand.
Exactly. Right? You know what I mean? Like, and that's something my coach used to tell me too, like always, and it's just see like those little things like build character, you know what I mean, that stick with you for life is like what's important right now, and right now is living, you know what I mean, and just like...
Well, I think that also speaks to the importance of influence that we all have on our lives, and like people, regardless, there's never ever a moment in someone's existence where their influence isn't actually important because it's so influential and so important in our own development that regardless if you think that this person is minimal or if they think that they're minimal, we talk about these major impacts. Even in a slight impact, you're talking about someone you didn't even know. You just seen them for 2 seconds in a fucking hallway that gave you that much insight.
Isn't it crazy?
Fucking incredible.
A kid that I don't know. I don't know their name, but I could picture these kids walking through the hallway, and I'm like, wow, and you're like the power and the impact of just a moment, bro. You know what I mean? And that's, man, it's heavy, bro. But all those experiences, man, definitely. Help mold me, into a way of like, I'm very firm on the things that I like believe in, but also I'm also always willing to learn. You know what I mean? I'm always open. You know what I mean?
I feel like you have to be at this point, right? That if life to teach you anything is adaptability.
It was like it was like a learning experience every single day. You know what I mean? Like and just confirmations of things like, you know, how we talk about all the time, like how sometimes you know something, but then something in life like confirms it, right? And you're like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, so
I think that's a powerful thing because more often I think society focuses on the negative confirmation.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, you're a piece of shit, or you're this or that. It's like, no, dude, listen to the testament of just one individual right now. You, right? We're talking about this one that's had. I couldn't even express to you actually the impact that this has had on me as a person. Like, I know that. It's just, and I can tell you that for everybody that I know that has experienced or has anything to do with this situation or has any connection to you, and the worst part is that I know that everybody that has that also has this hate inside of them that says, oh, I really hate the fact that I had to learn this lesson because of how this lesson was learned.
The pain.
It's the pain though, but it's
a man, you know.
It's like a unifying thing.
Man, it's wild, like. It's so wild, man, because like I said, you know, when we first started talking about my son, it's just like when you have kids, you never think like, well, what if my kid dies? You never, ever would think about that. You know what I mean? Like, I
don't think I would have.
I remember when they told me he had leukemia. Like, I knew what leukemia was. Like, I'm a intelligent person. Like I know a little bit about like if you know me, you know I know a little bit about damn near anything. Facts. Like people be saying I'm like Google and shit. Sometimes I'll just drop some random shit on you, but like I'm like, what's leukemia? You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking like, what is this, like some type of flu or something? Like it just the and I knew it was a type of cancer. You know what I mean? But it's just like in my brain, I was just like, so what is this, like some type of flu or something? We gotta like, you know what I mean? Or give them some antibiotics or something because it's like you just do not think like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you don't want to, right? I think that's a natural reaction.
It's just wild, bro. So, it's Oh, it's just interesting, like all the experiences leading up to it, you know, and just everything like now, just all the lessons that it taught me, you know, it's just very wild, man.
Yeah, it's crazy. Forced lessons too, because they're there regardless if you want to take them.
Yeah, that's when I guess that's when
I think that's manhood,
I think that's when the most massive growth happens, right? It's like when you don't have a choice and you just gotta. You know what I mean? Yeah. And
because I think the one thing I recognize most about you, Dave, is that it's constant and ever changing. Because I've seen you at different stages, and good, they're all been growth stages, obviously, like positive growth stages. But I think the thing that I recognize the most is this. It's just accountability in the situation, and a lot of people can take from that, which is why I was like, man, I have one more thing I for sure want to talk about. And it was just this, the resiliency of one person can really, really speak to so many people. And when that person recognizes how powerful they actually are, man, their potential becomes like limitless. And I think you're one of those people. I honestly do. I feel like the impact that, not only your story, but it's the resiliency that you have that makes you not only important but influential. And when somebody's influential and they care, I mean that's somebody that should have a platform.
It's heavy.
You know what I mean?
It's heavy, man. You know, and I feel that sometimes.
Because that's spreading love, man.
I feel that sometimes. Like I
feel like that's what God calls you to do.
In my spirit, you know.
That's what you do when you cut people's hair.
It's uneasy sometimes. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's almost like uneasy because it's like, man, that's a lot of weight, you know. But I'm thankful.
Did it ever occur to you that's why you retain information so well?
Yeah,
so much information.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown, right?
Man.
You know, so it's just like, with great power comes great responsibility. With all I'm always hitting you with this cliche ass bullshit, but
it speaks truth.
It does, and I only speak ones that I feel like really truly hold weight, and it is true, man. You know, and You know, I'm thankful. First, I would say
That's the craziest part.
I not
Why?
obviously not thankful that my son
I
passed,
know
but
what you
thankful
mean.
that his testimony could touch people's lives. You know what I mean? That experience could touch people's lives in a positive way because that's what God loves, right? You know what I mean? Like that's or however you even however you want to look at it. That's putting positivity into the universe. If it could impact people in a positive way, I think that's a beautiful thing. Obviously, like we said, with that comes pain. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of people it affected. Obviously, myself, my family, my friends. Um, and man, honestly, man, D3, bro. I mean, it was people all over the world praying for this kid, dude, and all different religions: Muslims, Christians, Jews. I mean, different countries, bro. Like it was crazy. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
whole experience was crazy. Living in Memphis for that time, the people I met. Um, that's man. It's heavy. It's very. It's like it opened my eyes in so many ways. Like I hate to say like I'm not religious, but I'm truly not. I
think you're
do
spiritual
believe
though.
I believe in God for sure, absolutely, because some of the experiences that I had definitely showed me that. And I think, like I said, I studied all these different religions, and it just kind of showed me that, man, God is love, bro. And
Yeah. Yeah. I
and when
100% agree
and
with
when
you.
people are on that same page, man, it don't matter where you come from. It don't matter what you know. You know, I think God can work through anybody. If you a Christian, if you a Muslim, I think God can work through you. Period.
Yeah.
You
You
know
don't
what
really
I
have a
mean?
choice. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't got no choice. That's something more powerful to you. Like, and I know we getting long into this, but I'll just give you one experience just to kind of like
No, you're good.
just tell you what.
You got
Just
time.
kind of I'll just give you an experience, man. So when I was in Memphis, I get there. Mind you, bruh, I was already had my son had been in the hospital here for 6 months, and I had to quit my job in that time because it was just like way too stressful. At the time I was doing sales.
I remember.
I was getting up at 5 in
Yes.
the morning. I was driving out of town and stuff to get to my jobs and do all this and that. And so like, bro, it was crazy because like I would be like in the hospital sleeping with my son, like whatever, get up in the morning and like I would have to like leave him. You know what I mean? Or like sometimes his mom would be there to meet me or whatever. But bro, it was just like it was so stressful, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it got to like a point where like a couple times, bro, like I'm like laying on he's laying on me, he's got tubes all around him or whatever, and I'm like rushing around in the morning trying to like get him set up, get myself ready for work, all that stuff. And I accidentally like one day I'll never forget, bro. I accidentally rip out his tube to his chest, his port.
Yeah.
It like got caught on the bed, and like I like pick him up and like it yanks out his chest, bruh. Fucking like I was like, yo, like fuck this, like yo, like, I can't do this no more. Like I'm fucking stressing, trying to get to work and shit. Like this, I just yanked out his fuck. He's bleeding and shit. You know what I mean? Like I can't even stay here to make sure he's good. You know what I mean? Like I gotta go to work. Like it was too much, right? I'm like, all right, well, something's gotta shake. I think, matter of fact, me and you started like doing side jobs shortly after that, right? Just like just so I could pay my bills. Shout out to you. Man, so I had been off work for a minute. It was like barely just paying my bills with the jobs, you know what I mean? Just making it by type shit, you know. And the cancer's back, right? You know what I mean? After like a couple months. So now we're going to St. Jude's and all that. And I had like 3 days, you know what I mean, to like figure it out, you know what I mean? Like, and I was like in a contract on this house where I was like paying this house off like through an owner. You know what I mean? It only had like $9,000 left on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I remember that. You were close.
So I'm like, you know, trying to figure that out, trying to, you know, hustle it real quick, like have one of the homies give me like 12 bands or 15 bands and just sign them the house off type shit real quick. But it ended up, none of that shit ends up working. I didn't even have time to like think about nothing. Like I was like trying to do the best I could, but I was just like, yo, like I gotta get my son here, right? So we get there, fucking, man, dude, it was wild. I'm like down to like, oh, bro, this shit's deep. Yo, if you're still listening, this shit gets deep right here. Yo, this is how wild God was working in my life. Yo, so I'm about to leave for Memphis. Let me try to make this as quick as possible. I'm about to leave for Memphis. My dad helps me tune up my car real quick. I'm like, I want to just make sure everything is good. You know what I mean? I got to be driving. Boom. We get all that situated. He throws a bag in my car. Like a paper bag or something. Like I took him to the store. He throws this paper bag in the car. He's like, that's you. And I'm like, why the fuck is he throwing this fucking trash bag in my car? You know what I mean? Like why is he throwing this beer bag in my car? You know? So, I go pick up my aunt from Steubenville. I'm down to like my last couple $100. I go pick up my aunt from Steubenville. I got like just enough money to make it to Memphis to do what I gotta do. Like it was fucked up. Like, you know, and I get down there, man. Or no, before we leave to Memphis, my aunt throws that bag away. Long story short, that bag had like $200 in it that my dad was like trying to give me for but he's a terrible communicator, so of course, you know, it gets thrown away at Speedway. Now I am in Memphis. I've made it to Memphis. I've got like less than $100 or like $120 or something. You know, I had like maybe like 300-400 type shit. Like I was struggling, bro. Like just trying to make shit work, you know?
Yeah.
And so I get there, I get the job, you know, all that, and I'll just give this other instance because this is where I was really going because I got sidetracked. But this is where I was going. So I get the job in Memphis. When I get there, I'm like, you know, I need to get a job. Get the job. All kinds of weird things happen at the job. I meet a lot of people that like were significant along my journey, but also just one night I'm in there, man, and this guy, this, you know how you ever like meet somebody and just when they walk up to you, you just can tell they're like special. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's something special about them. You don't know what it is, but you're just like, it's something like special about this person. Like you just know there's something significant about this person. You know what I mean? Yeah. And this dude was like, you know, I'm 6'5", so this dude was like taller than me. He was like 6'8", 6'9", and I'm just thinking like, that threw me off rip. You know what I mean? He was like big, like dude from Green Mile type shit. Right? Like, he was like huge, right? Yeah, and him and his wife, they was well put together, older black couple. And they come in my restaurant. So I'm working the bar and the front of the house, whatever. They sit down, they get the food, sit down, we're talking, get them some drinks, da-da-da. They're going out to eat, church folks. They're going out to a concert. We're going to a concert for the night. They're like, so what are you doing down here in Memphis? Da-da-da. I would just keep it real with people. I hated bringing it up because obviously I hated the fact that my son had cancer. But I would like, I just felt like obligated not to lie to people. You know what I mean? Like when they ask me why I'm there, I just tell them like, yo, I'm here in St. Jude's. My son's got cancer. Just working this job on the weekend type shit. You know what I mean? Like, and
being honest.
Yeah. It's just me. You know what I mean? So, man, so I guess like they were just like it touched them, whatever. Dude comes up after he gets his meal, tips us. So we all split tips or whatever, and he goes. He pays for his food. He's like, man, he's like, God just told me to do this. You know what I mean? He's like, he wanted me to do this, and he wanted me to tell you to keep spreading your light. Something like that. Somewhere along them lines or whatever. And he hands me a wad of money. And he's like, that's you. Put that in your pocket. And, and like he tipped us all as like collectively. You know what I mean? He's like, that's you. Put that in your pocket.
Damn.
And And that day we had been killing it too. Like it was probably like my best tip night ever because like we all split tips, whatever. But I got the majority of the tips, so that was like my best night ever. And I go in the bathroom, I count, it's like $200, and I'm just, and this is like right before Christmas. And I was just like, I remember going home that night thinking like, damn, bro, like God is for sure real. Like people don't just, you know what I mean, like, and like. Yeah. And, like, I really needed that money, bro. Like, I was, like, obviously, I'm a single parent, like, so it's, like, I had to fly my daughter in from Florida. I had just, right before I went to Memphis, I had just, went to court for the second time trying to keep my daughter in Ohio.
Right.
And they let her move to Florida.
Previously won.
And then they let her move to Florida when nothing had changed. I hadn't done nothing wrong. I was like kind of defeated, bro. Like my son had cancer.
You ran out of money.
My daughter was going. Yeah, I ran out of money. That's basically what it was. That was the reason they were like, oh yeah, she can go to Florida, right? So now
because that's what they do to fathers.
And then exactly. So then I had to fly her in from Florida, fly her back, get a hotel to stay there. You know what I mean? And all that, rental cars, and on top of that, you know, get my kids Christmas gifts, all that. So it was like everything just worked out. And I feel like that's kind of the story of my life. Like nothing has ever been easy. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, people can look from the outside in, you know, and say, oh, well, your grandparents took great care, which they did. And I'm so thankful for that. You know?
It doesn't necessarily mean you didn't have adversities in your life.
Exactly. and I mean, from day one, it's been adversity, right? So it's like,
well, I think even speaking of the fact that you were raised by your grandparents.
But also, God also always had me along the way. And that's what I've learned in life.
Recognizing that is the difference that you have, which is another beautiful thing.
That's what I've learned along the way, bro.
So remind these people to do what? Recognize when God's actually working in your life. And whether you call it God or the energy or whatever.
That definitely, yeah, exactly. Whatever you want to call it, right? But it definitely, it's power to it, right? Definitely, yeah.
Especially when you acknowledge it.
100%.
Which you frequently do, I will say.
100%. I think that's a good one to wrap up on, man.
Yeah, man, and I agree. I appreciate you having the talk. I hope you do more of these, man. I was really looking forward to this one. So I do appreciate it, and just two things that you wanna leave people with. So two good reminders, maybe.
I would say number one. Have faith in yourself. Stay true to yourself, right? And stand firm on that.
Which means non-negotiable.
Yeah, stand firm on that. That means, like, if somebody's trying to play you, fuck them. Like, for real. Like, you gotta stand firm on your shit and believe in yourself and love yourself. And number two, man, love yours as well, right? Because I think number one is kind of love yourself and stay true to that, but love it. Number two, love yours, man. Invest in the people around you. Believe in the people around you, because oftentimes I see so much in so many different spaces. There's people with great potential, people with great talent, people with great capacity that are taken for granted, or that are minimized, or that
ignored, or forgotten.
Right, just not invested in.
Yeah.
Right? So invest in the people around you, rather it be your family, your children, your wife, your employees, your friends, right? You know, if your friend got a fucking, I don't give a fuck if your friend's trying to sell goddamn ostrich eggs. Invest in them. If you believe in what he got going, if you think he got potential and he's an intelligent person, and that they got a plan. I mean, I'm not saying just be stupid and invest your energy in anything, but if your people got a plan and they're serious about it, invest in them, man. Yeah, and I'm telling you, man,
it does get reciprocated, because that's the energy you put out.
Thank you. Especially in a circle where it's reciprocated, man, because then you are maximizing your potential.
Yeah. Absolutely, man.
Man, thank you, Zach. I had a great time, man.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming out, man. Thank you, sir. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Much love.